I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everybody. I got nominated as chairperson today. Paul Flowski's out, but he's gonna be trying to be on the phone. Commissioner McClure's in, and we'll go ahead and get started with the Mako property, the casualty renewal rate. Okay,
Actually, yeah, I'm Rody Holman. I'm with Marsh McLennan Agency. I'm here today in tandem with Hope Barker from Montana Association of Counties. I'll let Hope have the floor. She'll go over the Mako renewal. We'll both be available to answer any questions that the commissioners may have. And then I'll follow with the workers' compensation and the cyber renewal. Does that make sense to you, Hope? So I'll turn it over to her.
thanks.
Oh, perfect. I tried to unmute earlier and it wouldn't let me. So I was like, oh no, we might be in a bind here. So am I okay to go ahead and share my screen then, Miranda?
Yeah,
Or do you guys have the presentation in front of you?
they do have it in front of them.
Oh, okay, perfect. So would you prefer I still share my screen or just kind of read off the cuff?
Do you just want her to share her screen
Do what?
share her screen? Or do you want to just
So
run
you
through
know
your
which page I'm on?
Oh, I don't care. I was just.
She can share the screen.
Okay, you can
Okay.
share it if you want.
Sorry about that. I was just
Yeah.
reading it.
Yeah.
No, that's okay. Let's see.
I'm not very good in this Zoom stuff.
That's okay. Thankfully, I'm not either because I don't have to do it very often. So we'll wing it together.
Okay.
So we'll get started with this first page here and just quickly review the agenda. So we have the benefits of pooling and why we feel you should choose Mako. And then we have our 26-27 contributions, as well as a few changes to the deductibles. Then we have our renewal summary where we break down the property versus liability, our claims and loss review. And then we have a capital adequacy page provided by our actuary, and then some of the risk management services that we provided. And then last, our property acknowledgement form, which I've emailed over another copy to you, Miranda, so you have that. And that's basically just the form that says that you've reviewed all of your property with Rody, and then discussion, but please discuss as we move through this. It's a lot less painful. So next page here, the benefits of pooling and why Mako. The stability and savings kind of go hand in hand, but private insurers are pressured to provide short-term results to investors, and you are Mako's priority. So this allows the PCT Risk Management Authority to maintain stable rates even through volatile times. So last year we had a few pretty big liability claims hanging over our head, which made us less profitable to our reinsurance carrier. So with that, we were at risk of being dropped, and we had to go out and look for next best option. Thankfully, we're still with them. But last year we paid just under $1 million. This year we paid just over $1 million, but the next best option was over $3 million. So we make sure that our pool is in a good place. So that way, if that were to ever happen to where we did have to go out to that next best, and have a significant increase like that, that would never fall back onto the counties to where I'm coming in and saying, so sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we have a 75% rate increase this year. So we make sure the pool is in a good place that we're able to handle that on a rainy day. And then savings. Mako works closely with our actuary to keep contributions low while still maintaining the health of the pool. Excess funds are, quote, returned to the members by investing and proper management. So we don't necessarily do like the retroactive returns or upfront discounts that workers' comp does with Montana State Fund, but we make sure that we're investing properly so that way we're making income there as well as not losing any money on inflation. And then coverage, we want to cover your claims. Private insurance carriers will find the smallest excuse to deny coverage. And one quick example I have here is we had a county that had not updated their ACVs or their actual cash value. They had a total loss of a vehicle, and at the time of the total loss, the premium that they were paying for it was significantly more than what the actual cash value was for the vehicle. However, they had just had some work done to the vehicle. I believe they got a new transmission and a few other things, and they were able to provide us with those receipts. So that way we were able to increase the value of the vehicle to give the county more back for that loss. So we do what we can to increase the amount that we're giving back to the county versus doing the opposite and giving you back as little as possible. And then member driven, MACO members are our top priority, and we provide risk management services to help with litigation defense, human resource assistance, land use guidance, finance guidance, and public safety risk management assessments. And I have a few pages that break that down in the back. So next up here, this is our renewal comparison from last year, and we are looking at a 15.59% rate increase this year. And we'll break down here. Oop, go ahead.
How come so much increase?
So that's what we were just about to break down here. I just messed this up. So break it down. So in a few pages, we have the property versus liability, but I was going to ask because so every year we vote on an inflation increase to stay ahead of appraisals. So that way we don't have a massive jump the way that we did. Normally we vote for a 2 or 3% inflation increase. However, that apparently was just not aggressive enough. So for those counties that did the appraisals last year and are seeing the increase this year, that's why we're getting such a significant increase, is because we just weren't aggressive enough with that inflation cost. So the majority of this is coming from your building and contents on your property values increasing there based off of your appraisals. And that one of the things that I don't say I recommend, but is an option here, is these are for the replacement value. So if you had a total loss, it would meet the replacement coverage for that. You do have the option to do a stated value. So for example, if you have your county courthouse and you're only using 50% of it, you know, a lot of it is empty offices and you just don't have the staff to fill the entire building. And if you were to have a total loss of the courthouse, then you would only rebuild to 50% of the size because you just don't need that much real estate, right? You could do something like that to where you would decrease the replacement value to a stated value and only accommodate how much you would replace. Or if you do want the full replacement value, you can kind of do a slight increase over the next few years. So if the building is worth $5 million and was previously set for replacement cost at $2 million, then maybe increase it this year to 3 million, next year to 4 million, and then the next year to 5 million. So that way you're not seeing as steep of an increase this year. The only risk that comes with that is if, God forbid, you did have a total loss of the building and you had it set for the stated value because you wanted to do that slight increase with it, then you would only get the stated value for rebuilding. So unfortunately, it's just because of the cost of property replacement that we're seeing such a significant increase in those building and contents total insured value. And this actually, fortunately for you, but unfortunate for some other counties, we have some that are looking at 25 to 30% rate increases because of that property value increase.
Okay, one question.
Mhm.
So you're saying that because you weren't aggressive enough in the prior year is why the increase this year because of the inflation is what you're
Correct,
saying?
yes, because of the increase in appraisal values. So
Okay.
we make an educated decision. We're not like 3% sounds nice. You know, we work with our broker and he lets us know kind of what he's seeing with property values across the nation. We adjust it based on that. And then we also go based off of construction cost index. So we look at what are the construction costs in your area and then kind of make an average for the entire state and make that decision based off of that. So, you know, historically, 2 to 5% has been aggressive enough. But just this past appraisal cycle, with the way that property values have increased across the state with everybody moving here, those 2 to 5% was not aggressive enough for it. So unfortunately, the first cycle of appraisals is the one that kind of feel the brunt of that not being aggressive enough in the past. And it's a catch-22 because, okay, do we increase it by 10% every single year and hit our counties with 10% year over year to make sure we're not seeing a significant increase every 5 years when that appraisal comes around? Or do we do it a little bit less so then it's a gradual increase and hope that keeps up with it? Because historically on our last appraisal cycle, the percentages that we decided on did keep up with it. And, you know, I try to joke and say that I blame Taylor Sheridan for starting Yellowstone and now have everyone move here and property values increasing. But yes, basically we just were not aggressive enough with what we had previously increased annually for those appraisal costs or inflation costs, excuse me. So do you have any other questions on this one, or Rody, any insight?
I just add some, I guess, some insights, you know, I know these are tough things to have adjusted, but, you know, Hope's role is to make sure that in the event of the loss, the check is written for the right amount. And that's really what's driving a lot of this, you know. Last year, it was tariff concerns with respect to building values, and costs of construction. And while tariff concerns have subsided, building cost and construction costs have not. You've got fuel prices that are, you know, frankly through the roof. And there's a lot of building products that are derivatives of fuel products. For example, asphalt shingles, PVC pipe, those types of things are all derivative of a fuel product. And so with fuel going up, everything else is going up, and it's driving construction costs up too. So it is challenging, you know, when you look at your property values from one year to the next. But I am of the opinion that, again, in the event the claim happens, we want the check written for the right amount. And that kind of runs tandem with your total insured value tracking to keep up with that. Now, hopefully with this most recent appraisal that happened when did that most recent appraisal happen?
We just, well, they're still going around. So you guys had your appraisal last year, so it would have wrapped up at the end of the summer, probably about August of last year. I don't know the exact date that you guys did it, but then this year they're wrapping up same time. Probably they'll go through July for the central portion of the state, central portion of the state.
So hopefully the appraisal is done, and then that holds true, and then in the future we'll only see incremental bumps in the property values to account for construction inflation. That's the hope, but sometimes you have to take these corrective actions. This year, I don't want to get off too much of a tangent, but I also run a insurance pool for schools, and this year we increased our TIVs because we have been doing it periodically. We increased our total insured values by 3%. We're over $7 billion in insured premium, or excuse me, insured property on that program now. But we have taken those market changes as well. And a few years ago, just like Maaco's done today, we had to take that big jump because we found ourselves a little bit behind the 8 ball on total insured values. And a lot of this is driven by the carrier. It's not driven by me or Hope. It's driven by the carrier saying, you need to get these insured values up to a certain level. Otherwise, we're going to start to restrict coverages. A coverage restriction that you may or may not recall from years ago was a margin clause, where they'd said, okay, if you have a building that's, you say it's worth $1 million, we're going to put 110% margin clause on the building. So even though you've got replacement cost across the board, we're only going to give you, if you lose that building, we're only going to give you 110% of what the insured value was. And so these types of things are necessary so that, again, that check is written for the right amount in the event of the loss. Sorry, Hope, I didn't mean to go on too long.
No, super insightful, and that's really helpful. Thankfully, we don't have any restriction clauses. But one thing we do is we have other lines of coverage that we're not insured for our reinsurance. So like fire scoring. When you're with personal property or commercial lines, a lot of the property is fire scored through private carriers, and we don't do that. So if there was a wildfire that came through and completely wiped out all of Granite County, we would still provide coverage for that, even though we would not be able to get any money back for that from our reinsurance. So that's something that would completely come out of pocket there. And like Rody had said, this is not anything that benefits Mako. Like I don't get to go on a cruise at the end of the year because we've increased property values. It's what the replacement costs are just to be able to provide the amount of coverage that we are required to provide. And we follow Title 33, which is kind of the laws for insurance, and we're not required to. So that's why we can adjust things accordingly and, offer X amount more or adjust things, but we follow it. So that way we're not going completely rogue, and we're making sure that we have like a guideline that we stick around. So uninsurable drivers is another thing that we carry, for some of our smaller rural communities. We know that we have high school students that come in for the summer and work in the weed control. And a lot of times, like under a certain age, or if you have DUIs, bad driving records, you can't find coverage for that for the drivers. We do provide that for drivers as well. So just a few other lines of coverage that we offer included in this. But then did you do any historic values? Do you know, Rody?
I'd have to look at the schedule. I can't recall what the
Okay.
county commissioner.
I didn't look either.
Obviously, we're sitting in a historic building right now, and this one in the jail is historic, but I can't recall whether.
We did the historic values. That is one thing. We'll look to see if we did. Oops, sorry.
I'm sorry, Hope. There was just a little bit of discussion. I thought we did for the courthouse. We took into account the historic nature of that, but I could be wrong. Do you recall that, Miranda?
I think so, when they did the appraisal.
When they did the
Yeah, I'm
appraisal?
pretty sure we did the
Historic,
Mhm.
okay. So that could be part of it too, right? That could be,
Right.
I mean.
That could be a huge part of it.
I can't remember. I know I'm pretty sure we did it
Yeah,
here.
we'd be here for sure.
I'm not sure if we do it, if we did one, we do the other one too.
Yeah, you would think.
We did.
We can certainly check that.
Yeah.
Do you have that
Yep.
appraisal? Do you have that appraisal?
I would have to do some digging here.
Okay,
but
we could check that. So
Yep. And so that's another thing, is that almost doing historic replacement cost to do like kind and quality is significantly more and can almost double the value of the property. So personally, I recommend that unless you are required by the state to have historic values because of the amount that the property is, increasing, I recommend just going with the regular replacement cost. Flathead, for example, did a remodel a few years ago, and they didn't do actual historic value, or not value, but historic remodel, but they made choices on their design that looked historic. So you can still keep the historic ambiance and feel of the buildings without having to pay for the marble staircases and the hand carving of the railings and whatnot. So that's another thing we'll take a look at to see what that would decrease for the property value if you just did regular replacement costs versus historic replacement costs, because that is close to like a 90% increase on what it previously was. So that could make a significant difference there.
we'll have to refer to the appraisal.
Yeah, 'cause we're on that historical thing, and then whenever we do something, we have to go through them, make sure.
Yeah, and that's why I think that you did it at least for the courthouse, but we'll have to double check. Anyway, in the interest of time, because I know we have
Yep.
another meeting, probably
Yep.
need to, sorry.
Now,
Nope, that's perfect.
Morning, good morning. How are you? Good.
So if we jump to, oops, are we good to jump ahead?
Yeah,
Okay. So this next page here with the deductibles, you did not make any changes to the deductibles. However, if you look over on the right side, this last 3 bullet points of zoning, ethics, and floodplain, this is one of the things that we've worked with our actuary. These are previously listed on as endorsements. So in order to have these lines of coverage, it did come as a choice and as a cost to the county to have these. And this is for defense costs. But thankfully, our pool and our reserves have grown enough over the last few years that our actuary did give us the go ahead that we can now include these 3 lines of coverage in the policy. So now you have coverage for zoning, ethics, and floodplain if you were to get sued for anything in those 3 categories. And that comes with a $10,000 deductible, but it's now included at no additional cost to the county. So then here we have the renewal summary breakdown. If you look over here on the right side, we have the property portion. So the board voted this year for a 4% decrease to the rate. And then if we break it down a little bit further, that's where you'll see this with vehicles at $1.10 per $100 and equipment at 44 cents per $100. This is the same as last year. But then if you look at the building and contents over here, we had last year 0.2787 per $100, and we were able to get that decrease to 0.2714 per $100. And then over here in this small font, you'll see that 10% inflation increase is what I was referring to earlier, but that does not apply to you as you had your appraisals. And then one thing to note is in the private market, I had an agent that reported that he had a semi he added onto vehicles, and it was closer to $5,000, $5,000 to $6,000 to have a year's worth of coverage on that, to where ours for the same vehicle was closer to $2,800 to $3,000. So great rates there for vehicles and equipment. And then liability, the board voted for a 7.5% increase to the base rate. So in total, the average for the pool rate was the 3.5%. Then vehicles and equipment, as previously stated, no change there. And then fidelity and crime, this is a 3-year contract. So previously it was closer to $19 per employee. That did increase to $23.86 per employee. However, the market hardens a lot faster than it softens. So thankfully on the property side, we are starting to see those rates come down. However, on the liability side, they're still kind of sticking up a little bit high. So fidelity and crime, we did have that increase, and that will be locked in for the next 3 years. So we won't see any changes there for the next 3 policy years. However, we're hoping that it comes down within that next 3 years. So the next 3-year contract we get will be a decrease there. But any questions on this page at all?
Nope.
Okay. So next we have our property and casualty loss ratios here. I did update this last night. We did have 1 open claim still that has closed. So this is all up to date as of last night. We use the last 3 completed policy years on this, and it's how much you've paid out in contributions versus how much we have paid out in losses. And for liability, you guys are sitting beautifully with 4% there for the last 3-year average. And then property loss ratio, this is pretty average for your size county of a 20% average over the last 3 years there. And then these next 2 pages kind of go hand in hand here, but this is the breakdown kind of more visually. So on the top, we have the incurred losses by coverage. In the blue category, that is how many claims you've had in that category for coverage. And then the red is the dollar amount that's been paid out in that category. And then same thing down here, the incurred losses by department, so you can see where the losses lie. And then this one, I believe, was 63%. I apologize that got cut off for the road and surveyors. But sheriff and road surveyor consistently are our highest liability. So they are usually the problem department when we go through, just because they have so much property that they're working every single day. We have claims with road surveyors, different pieces of equipment. And then same thing with sheriffs. They have the liability portion dealing with detainees and inmates, as well as the property with being out on the road, hitting elk, hitting deer, etc. And then these are all of the claims that you have that are calculated into that loss ratio. Thankfully, they're all closed as previously stated. So these are up to date. But I'll give you a second to look through this and just let me know when you're ready to jump to the next page.
Ready. You guys ready? Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
So this next page here, this is our capital adequacy that was provided by our actuary. So one of the things that I've consistently heard last year outside of appraisals is that increasing the property, or excuse me, increasing the rates the way that we have been is not sustainable for the counties. And I completely agree. The only thing is we are still in that growing phase with our reserves. So if you look at 2016 to 2026, we have been relatively consistently trending in the right direction here. We're shooting to get into that green category, which is how much we're getting in contributions, as well as our previous year investments that we made versus how much we're anticipated to pay out in claims or in the past have historically paid out in claims. So that was one of the reasons why our actuary said that we could include those extra 3 lines of coverage, is because we're trending in the right direction and our pool is growing in reserves. So once we get into that green category, appraisals is a little bit different, obviously, because we have to increase those property values for replacement costs. But we're trending in the right direction. So once we get into that green zone, we got a 4% decrease to property this year. And then hopefully at some point we'll be able to do a decrease on the liability as well, or do 0% increases across the board and be able to offer some better discounts to our members, regardless of what the market is doing. Unfortunately, like I said, we're just still in that growing phase to where we're trying to get our reserves into a better place, but we are trending in the right direction. So we are seeing the benefits of that now. And then these next 2 pages go hand in hand with our risk management services. Over on the left side, you'll see Dan O'Malley, the public safety risk manager, and Brandon Harris, our peer review coordinator. They go through and handle anything in regards to law enforcement, as well as doing our peer review program for our jails. So fantastic resource here. And then in the middle, we have Mackenzie McCarthy, our general counsel, and Karen Alley, our associate general counsel. Mackenzie focuses more on HR and employment law, and then Karen focuses on zoning, land use, and subdivision. But one of the things that I like to say with these two is they are attorneys. However, they are not your attorneys. So there's not client confidentiality when you do communicate with them. So a quick example I'll give is if you consult with Mackenzie on a wrongful termination, or excuse me, on a termination, and she recommends against it and says you don't have probable cause to fire this person, and you email her back and say, well, I didn't like the guy anyways, so we went ahead and fired him. If he decides to file a wrongful termination suit, that email is not discoverable. So any of those communications are not private, and I just like to make a note of that. However, with our county litigation group, they are your attorneys and there is client confidentiality there. So confidentiality with the CLG, but not with these two. And then over on the right side, we have Nancy Everson, our governmental finance director. I have counties rant and rave about her as a resource. She helps with mills and levies, as well as any form of internal budgeting controls. So great option to reach out to her there with the finance department. And she's also starting her Money Mondays, which we've gotten some really great feedback on there. And then last but not least, we have Carly King, our IT manager. And she started our cybersecurity and technology program and helps with anything related to cyber. A lot of people think she is just kind of a help desk, and that is not the case. Any questions, auditing that you have with cyber, she's a fantastic resource. She was just presenting at the White House a few weeks ago and got an award on her response to terrorism. So she has some pretty high up clearances and connections there that is a fantastic resource, and she is full of knowledge. And then the last 2 things I'll note on this page, this basically is just everything that I said about the last page, but the county litigation group, on average, we are 26% less in cost for defense costs. So generally speaking, whether you're with Mako or you are with a private carrier, you if you were to have a liability claim, your insurance carrier is going to cover the cost of that claim. So you think, okay, well, if somebody else is paying for it, then why does it matter what the cost savings is? Well, that cost savings is held against you in your loss ratios that we just previously presented. And then that loss ratio is calculated into your premium. So with lower costs for defense, that means a lower cost for loss ratios and then a lower premium. So just comparatively there. And then last but not least on this page, I don't think a lot of counties know that we have sexual abuse coverage. So just one of the things that I wanted to remind everyone of this year is that we do have that. We had a county that almost did not receive coverage because of they didn't know that they had it and the time frame in which it was reported. So claimants have 3 years to report a claim. But there, if you look at section A there, it says 180 consecutive days after initial discovery of any actual attempted or pending alleged sexual abuse. So we want to make sure that we're reporting it as soon as we hear about it, because otherwise, if it gets out of that time frame, then it comes at a cost to the county, and then there is no defense cost for it. So just one note there. And then last but not least on this page, this is the jail review program. This is what Brandon and Dan do. Brandon kind of leads the charge on this one, but just kind of goes over all the benefits of that, identifying inefficiencies and workflow, finance and budgeting, then intercounty communications and relations. And another thing here is, thankfully, I don't have a lot of history in detention facilities, whether it be on the inside or outside. So I did not know that there were revenue opportunities within some of the detention facilities. So one thing that we had a county report was that they were doing a ZIN program. So they were offering ZIN in commissary, the little nicotine pouches. However, they not only did it based off of dollar amount, but they did it based off of merit as well. So the inmates had to behave in order to be able to purchase the ZIN packets, which apparently has been fantastic for behavior and decreasing fights and different issues that they were having. So kind of made me giggle on that one. Not only are they charging them, but you have to behave in order to purchase it as well. But other than that, that is all I have for you today. So any questions, comments, or concerns?
No, I thank you for a good presentation and
I have one question. So if we're doing the historical, can we rethink that? Because it's double in price. I can see where she's saying that, like with, what, was it Flathead County or was it?
yeah,
Correct.
That,
Yep.
looked and found things like you didn't have to, is that something we can look into to help save the price?
I guess
Yeah.
I would hope on that. I think the short answer is yes.
Correct.
So if you're contemplating, not trying to ensure, to historic standards, if you will, from a replacement cost perspective, I think that the answer is yes, because they gave you the opportunity to do that in the first place. Is that correct, Hope?
Yes, correct. You do have the option to do regular replacement cost.
Okay, but I do want to point out that I think you said that it doubled. The insured values went up considerably. They went up from 15 to 25 million, but the premium went up, 32,000. So it's not a doubling in premium, if you will.
Correct.
Just wanted to make sure you were aware of that. So, yeah, okay. So if you wanted to reconsider whether you wanted to insure the courthouse, if that's the one that you did from an historic perspective on a replacement cost basis, that's an option that the commissioners could consider.
Okay.
Yes. So like I said, Flathead County, they did a remodel, and I would have no idea that it's not true historic, construction, just based off the design choices they had. However, like Madison County, they are required, they're on a historic registry, so the state does require them to have everything up to that historic standard. So they are required. So my recommendation is, if the state has not required you and you're not under some contract that makes you have to do a historic replacement, then I would go with the regular replacement option there.
but we're registered
Yeah.
as historic.
Yeah, we're registered as historic. So what about, then the jail is registered also, so it would have to be historic too, right?
Yes.
If that's what Hope's saying, yeah. Is that?
Yeah. Well, it depends on the contract that you have with the state. So I would get with your county attorney and see if there's something that requires you to have that. Was he in there? Sorry, throw you under the bus.
He's sitting here right now.
Yeah, we'll look into it.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it requires it though. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, if the state's requiring it, then it's not an option, but if you don't have that contract, then yes, I would say just do the regular replacement values.
But we can go ahead and make a motion on this accepting and then we can check in the more, right? Right? So, moving on, I guess we'll go ahead and we'll entertain a motion.
So the motion is, renewal of property and casualty, insurance.
Yep, great.
I put in your exception on if you want us to look into the historical
Look into it,
requirements,
yeah.
but it's proving it with that caveat.
With the, yeah, whether or not we have to.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll second that. Public comment? Being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion been carried and passed.
Okay,
We got a coffee bag after that.
sure.
Well, thank you, appreciate it.
Yes, thank
Thank
you. I appreciate it. I normally
Yeah.
stick around for the work comp portion, but I gotta head off to my next renewal. I got a little bit of a drive. So I appreciate your time today and my contact information. Miranda has communicated with me quite a bit, so she's got my contact information. But if you need anything further, my email is on the back of that presentation as well as my cell phone number.
Okay, well, thank you, and we'll move on to.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you
folks.
so much. Thanks, Rody.
All right, we'll go into the quarterly safety meeting.
If I-
He's got to
I'm
finish
sorry,
this.
can I just, we still have 2 lines of coverage to talk about, and I'll be quick, if that's okay.
That's from with this.
Oh,
We're running a little
Is that
behind.
okay? So what you have before you, I've provided the commissioners with the packet, and I've also provided, Miranda with the packet. This spreadsheet right here is a recap of your workers' compensation renewal. Real quick, if you look at the blue column, that's our current policy. The green column is the renewal, and then the far right column is any changes. I put this spreadsheet together to kind of look at a year-over-year basis, to make sure that the payrolls are correct, et cetera. So last year's payroll, we had 2.45 million. This year, we're up to 2.658 million. Keep in mind that that's only an estimate, and it's trued up at the end of the policy period. So if you had a $2.65 million estimate and you came in at 2.5 million in total payroll, you're only going to be paying premiums off of that 2.5 million. Okay, so the manual rates have went up a little bit. And the thing that's it's having a deleterious effect on Granite County this year is that bump in the experience mod. Keep in mind the experience mod went from a 0.97 to a 1.26. So that's 29 points of increase in the experience mod. The experience mod is calculated by the National Commission on Compensation Insurance. And it is a calculation based off of your 3 most recently completed policy periods in relation to your payroll, in relation to the claims activity of Granite County, and in relation to other similarly situated public entities with these same class codes. So what that's saying is that based off of those 3 most recently completed policy periods, the mod came in at 1.26. Now, we were able to negotiate a little bit of relief on this with the Montana State Fund. Note that we have a scheduled rating in column, the green column of 0.8. So we were able to get them to reduce their scheduled rating by 20%. So that eased a little bit of that burden, if you will. The mod took a pop, but we were able to, because of the good things the safety committee's doing, the good things that we're doing, we were able to try and mitigate that increase a little bit. So the net effect is we are up in premium on a year-over-year basis. But I feel like we're trying to do the right things to try and help that as we move forward too. So you have this sheet and then you have the actual quote page behind you. Does anybody have any questions on the Montana State Fund proposal? And I would like to remind the commissioners that though they cannot be guaranteed, Granite County has been the benefactor of dividends over the course of the past few years that they have been insured with the Montana State Fund. So that helps offset this a little bit as well. Again, dividends can't be guaranteed, but the Montana State Fund has a pretty good track record of declaring and delivering dividends. So
So, question, next year the mod factor could possibly go back down under,
it's a calculation of your three most recently completed policy periods. So the current policy
Okay.
period that we're in right now
okay,
does not count into that 1.26 mod calculation. After July 1st, then that policy period will be completed, and then that will roll into your 3-year calculation, and the one that's 4 years old will roll off. So that's
okay,
how
so
that
it could be 1.5
It-
next year.
You know, I'd have to look at the loss run, but we do have some losses, but I think we,
No, I get it.
yeah. So anyway, any questions on that? Okay. Do you want to make a motion to approve that, or do you want me to jump onto the cyber?
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the new workers' compensation premiums for fiscal 26-27, with the right mod factor being from 0.97 to 1.26.
I'll second. Public comment? Being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And then, the next packet that we have before you, the bound copy is the renewal for the cyber, or it's the renewal offering for the cyber policy. The bound copy, Commissioner Adler, the one with the binder on it, that's the renewal, but I am making a recommendation to make a change. We remarketed this account this year, and if you'll look, and I know we don't have the luxury of a lot of time, but if you look on page 3 of 9 of the bound copy, you'll note that the renewal premium is $11,446. However, I'm making a recommendation that we change coverage to CFC Corporation, which is on this sheet right here.
Oh, there's a lot of different.
Yeah. And we analyzed this, and CFC is a strong carrier. There's considerable savings there for the county, and they have really solid coverage behind their program. So my recommendation would be to take that CFC proposal. It's slightly higher than the Beasley proposal, but there is some coverage that's built into the CFC proposal that I like better than the Beasley offering. So my recommendation would be to take that offer. That's gonna save the county, $6,000-7,000 on the cyber premium. So the bad news that you got earlier in this conversation about premiums increasing, we're at least trying to help offset some of that with this line. So that would be my recommendation.
So on a motion on his recommendation, take the CFC over there.
So what was the other one?
It was coalition.
What's the name of it?
The former company, the current insurer is Coalition, and again, they're a good carrier. But when we price this out, it doesn't make sense for you. I mean,
So I would make a motion that we switch from Coalition to CFC for our, what's it called? Cyber insurance. To a savings of thousands.
Yeah. I second it. Public comment? Being none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
thank you.
Pass, all the motion pass.
Okay.
Say that.
Thank you for that. Again, I appreciate the opportunity to come before you.
Thank you.
Really appreciate the partnership. I think we've done a lot of good things together, and we hope that we can continue to do those. I know that mod, and we'll talk about that in the safety meeting.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I get them on.
Alrighty, well, we'll go ahead and move ahead on into the quarterly safety meeting. We have the agenda behind the, right there. So, Kathy, you wanna come on now?
Yes.
Please.
I can take a step back. Yeah. Go ahead.
No,
So this is safety meeting for, the quarterly meeting. Do we have an approval for the minutes of the last meeting?
I'd like to also approve the meeting.
Do we have a form?
Last meeting, huh?
We have a form.
Mhm.
Okay.
Or
Go ahead, sorry, make your motion.
Making a motion as we go ahead and approve the minutes from the last meeting.
I'll second. Okay, Rhodey, do you want to give us, an update on claims report?
Sure, obviously, we could just refer back to the report that the Montana Association of Counties just included in their packet. You know, everything has been closed out. You kind of have a history of the claims there. And I apologize, but I did not bring a claims loss run for the Montana State Fund program, so I will definitely do that next time, and we'll go through those. I would note that if there are claims, that either a department head or the commissioners may question for whatever reason, the veracity of a claim, please note that you can have a conversation with your claims adjuster and let them know that, and they can look into those claims. You know, and you know, the whole idea behind the work comp program is it's built on a level of trust and confidence, but sometimes there can be questions on claims. And so I would encourage the commissioners, if they see something that doesn't seem quite right, they always have the opportunity to have the conversation with the claims examiner at the Montana State Fund, and they will look into that.
Thanks.
So, question on that, is the person, the adjuster's name on the original workman's comp paperwork? Or how do we?
The adjuster's name is on the loss runs,
Okay,
so and I'll get you copies of the loss runs. There's claims examiners is the term that they use for their adjustment process. That's all I have.
okay. Brody?
Yeah.
Anything?
I don't really have any updates, no, just the Department of Labor's out, I don't know if you guys got hit by them yet this year. So maybe do our annual inspections as usual, and schedule those sometimes this summer. But yeah, there's no big updates on my end, so. Is there anything you guys need our help with? I mean, Jackie's always doing a great job letting me know if you guys need anything, but. If there's anything that pops up. just
I
let
think
me know.
we're pretty caught up, aren't we, Jackie, or just that couple of little things you got?
Yeah. I think so.
Okay. I don't have nothing.
Okay, and Mark is not here. Dee, do you have anything? Dawn's not here. I stopped over and visited with Val this morning because it's hard for her to get over here while she's working, but they had no updates over there.
Jackie, the only thing that we talked about this before was to fix that window. You know, that first window on the right end to come in.
Mhm.
We're gonna have, what's his name, do it. I think we need to,
Brian, we got
yeah, I think we need to try to push through and do that or get somebody else to
Get a-
do it.
Get a
If I could get a hold
quote on
of,
that?
maybe if I could get a hold of Ryan and see if he could do it or something. I just think that's something that's really serious there.
Well,
we got his phone number.
Okay.
I have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, want to discuss the roads and solid waste. They don't have anybody representing them, and I know roads are busy right now, so,
I talked to both the upper and lower yesterday, and they said everything was good. We're gonna try to figure that out. We'll have to get that kind of lined out to see who's gonna be in charge at each place to, you know, if they need stuff, but, they're pretty well, they bring stuff in and there's glass and it's beautiful, all that. But, they both said pretty good, so I said, well, if anything comes up, call us right away.
Were you talking about having a rep at this meeting or who's in charge of it?
Well, I think they need to have a rep here,
Yeah.
just cause they're out
Yeah.
and about.
Yeah.
And that's something, because we can't keep, you know, we're not out there, and if they see something, so, you know, that's my problem involved.
On the new E3 security system, everybody has been trained on that. And I'm working on the emergency action plan, the new one. I got it pretty much put together. So. All done. And, so the last, I guess it was April, I sent out, you know, do you know where your emergency response plan, blah, blah, blah. And some of the employees, as they started, they were not receiving this to show, like what to do in a fire, what to do in all of these. So I don't know if we need to have this required when each new employee comes on board, that this is given to them, and it is in the employee orientation checklist. So I don't know if these checklists are not being given to employees. Were you given this?
An emergency checklist?
Well, the safety or orientation checklist? Okay, so I think we need to get,
Well, you've done the work to update it and everything, I personally think, yeah, when somebody gets hired, they should have, or, yeah.
well, when I had an employee in the Drummond office, we went through everything and she, you know, initialed it, I initialed it, that she had been seen it all before I could pass that in. So I think we need to get a little more diligent on that.
So, but would you have payroll? The clerk reporter that signs the payroll, have them hand them this, or?
Well, that's what we need to talk about. Would it be the department head's responsibility, or would it be mine, or would it be payroll? So,
I think it should be the park head. And that's.
So the department head would have to hand it to each new employee and go over it with them.
mhm.
Cause they'd be
Okay.
working under them.
And then just make sure, and there is a space in here in the policy that they have received everything and the employee's name and the supervisor's name and the date, so it can go into their permanent
Yeah.
records.
Yeah.
So that we know that's all covered.
Are you good on that?
Oh, yeah, I think the department head is the one that,
You got enough on your plate, they don't, yeah, they should.
Okay, well, and so on the new one, this was only geared towards courthouse employees. So I have changed some things in there so it pertains to all employees, like, you know, if there's bad weather, you know, things like that.
Would, just say if there's somebody hired a part-time, they should go through that too,
Yes.
right, just in case something happens.
Yeah, it needs to be addressed, so, yeah, you know, if there's a fight or if there's violence, what do you do? I think it just needs to be, you know, the fire extinguishers, it's not just not the courthouse that deals with some of these things, so. That's what I updated.
so what you're saying is each department head needs to have those on hand to hand out to new employees.
Yeah.
Okay,
And then,
so whose responsibility is it to give them to the department head?
yeah,
Yes?
yes, and,
Well, we think we could hand each department had one of them, and then when they hired them, then they just didn't. make
Right, and that would
another
be in
one and
here.
Hand it to them, that's good.
and then Brody updated, sorry. Updated the floor plan with the new elevator and the changes in the offices. So that will be included as well. So. Anything, oh, yeah,
That memo to the department heads then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was just gonna say.
yeah,
You know, my copy of it as well, right? But, so you can get that on, like, have a digital copy as well.
yeah, we could, well. I don't know, do you want it on the website?
Not the website, but just so that the
Employees,
employees can have
Access to it.
access to it. And you can
Yeah,
print it off as
you
you,
do.
you can print it off as you needed it.
However, put it on there. I just don't know nothing about that.
Is it something they should receive the full pamphlet like they do their,
I think they could get the whole thing. It's not like we're hiring 200 people a day.
right,
You know, so I think every new hire, and maybe we need to have it go to the existing employees as of now, so some did not get it when they were hired. So it probably wouldn't be a bad thing to,
Yeah.
just,
That way that we're covering and everybody's, yeah.
Jackie, you could make that as a monthly safety. Email it out, have everybody review it, and sign the sheet like we do for a monthly thing, and then people have.
Yeah.
Every employee look at it.
Yeah.
that would work.
That way, at least they're getting that and they need to look at it.
Perfect. Updated the grab and go kits. They're now very big. So they can't say they can't find it. And then I left places on here, so like if they have doctor's appointments or they have questions, they can put them right on here. And there's even a pen, so no one can say they didn't have a pen. So it has in the return to work statement, incident management checklist, one for the medical provider, first report, job description, the medical status form, that is brand new. And I also included an incident investigation report that we are going to require everyone to fill out regardless. And then there's a return to work guide in there, so a flow chart on the process for everyone that has to do this.
I read that over. I think it's great because, you know, when I ask you something, I go back and this, you're not asking asking somebody the right thing. This way you can just hand them and they can look it over. Cause I know I got it mixed up on the return, I guess. I didn't know that.
The only form I wouldn't recommend having in there is the instant investigation, because that's not gonna be done by the employee. That's usually gonna be done by the supervisor.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Well, I put it in here because they're not getting done.
Mhm.
So with that,
We kind of agreed on that to have it in there so it does get done, cause we're not getting half the stuff back.
and maybe I add on to their supervisor to complete.
Yes, I
Okay,
would. Because the employee's not gonna do the instant investigation, that's gonna be the supervisor that needs to do that.
They would participate in it, presumably, they would. The other thing too is, if I could just interject a moment, is, you know, a moment ago, we talked about the mod. And, you know, I know I'm preaching to the choir with this group, but it's important to reiterate again, with that early return to work program, if you can mitigate or stop, or at least mitigate the wage loss benefits on a work comp claim, then that's gonna help the mod. The NCCI calculation, 100% of the claim cost, once that claim goes to a wage loss claim, then 100% of that claim cost is included in the calculation for your mod. Okay, so let's back up. We have employee A, employee B. Employee A suffers a injury. That employee goes and has a surgery. It's $25,000. I'm just hypothetically speaking, it's a $25,000 cost, the surgery is, but he or she misses no time from work. Then that $25,000 gets discounted by 70% when NCCI calculates your mod. 70%. So let's flip the coin now, and we're gonna say, okay, another employee B has an accident and it's a $25,000 cost. Just say, for this hypothetical discussion, that 12,500, half of it is medical, and the other one half of it is wage loss. So it's the same $25,000 that the insurance company spends, but on the wage loss, 100% of that claim, as soon as it turns to $1 wage loss, 100% of that claim gets calculated into your experience mark. So, you know, it starts with the commissioners and try and run it right down, drill it all the way down to the departments. if you can make early return to work, it's a cost benefit to the commissioner from a premiums perspective. I know you've heard that from me before, but it's just important to reiterate because we're talking about the accident packets.
And maybe on that form, you could just put, just so they know, supervisor's responsibility to get back to the safety department. I would put something along those lines, right? But then they know, and then hopefully you'll get them back. Yeah. I mean, that's a good idea if you're not getting them back, to have it in there, but I would just emphasize that on the form, because then if you don't get it back, then you're like, hey, it'll move right on the form, supervisor, you need to, that's your job. Yeah, part of your responsibility.
Yeah,
So.
I can change that.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
So you're gonna just put something, one page different in there, and
Yeah.
then we'll get them out to put them in the offices.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm gonna put like the bulk of these to Becky, cause that's where everybody goes, and then I drop some off at the sheriff's office. I'll just change that out, and then take some to solid waste. And do the ambulance crews need one of these?
I don't think it would hurt not, I mean, I think it'd be great to have them there, just in case, you know, cause there's times that they grab somebody on, you know, and drive, yeah, I think. I definitely
Cause
have,
we do pay work comp on.
Right.
ambulance.
yeah,
So at least one to them.
Yeah.
We
I'll
made,
need one for the week crew.
Okay,
we made a new AI video on the feed packets too, if you wanna send it to you.
that would be great.
It's like a minute.
Okay. And that could be sent out to.
Everybody, yeah.
For training. Yeah, oh, that'd be wonderful. All right. Any other questions on that?
I called the solid waste yesterday, but nobody answered, they were out working, so I don't have no update on solid waste, Kathy. I did call up here. Yeah,
I was in Drummond, but I go up there Friday, everything seemed to be fine.
okay. Sorry about that, I was done, but
So any other discussions, questions?
no,
Alright, that being said, motion to adjourn, and our next meeting will be in September 8th.
My motion we adjourned.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good job, everybody.
Thank you all.
Yeah, no,
Thank
thank
you,
you.
only a few items and.
Perfect.
Alrighty, well, we'll move, we're a little bit behind, but
We'll make sure.
go ahead and move into short evidence.
Office.
Okay, the first one is on Montana Home Growers Association, credit control fund. And it's a total due that we pay on every year. And it's through the 2026 through June 30th, 2020. January 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2026, and it's just on that sheet, and it's $209.
There's a, yeah, resolution.
Yeah.
It's there, yeah.
All right, the next one is, from Beaver Head Deer Lodge Working Group. It's a letter in order to perform the county governments to voice their interest in the management decisions of the Beaver Head National Forest.
Remember that, the man that came and talked to you about participating in that, that they're doing some, trying to do some lobbying, promotion of, yeah, timber sales and so forth.
And that Sean Steinbach, I've talked to him before. I thought maybe he should come give us an update on what's going on. Alrighty, and the next one's, from Mako, and it's a Bighorn County is requesting examples of cattle guard policies. If your county has an example to share, please email directly. Yeah. We've been,
I'm sorry, but they're asking us on this, working group to donate $1,000. And we haven't so far.
You talked about it being a potential agenda item coming up.
That's what I thought, I'd get hold of that Steinmer, and he can come in and give us a little more than I just don't want to send him a. See if it's moved ahead enough to, you know. Maybe we can get a hold of him, I got his number, and then we can see if he'll come up and.
Okay.
Before we. Move it.
Okay. Bless you, bless you.
Bless you. Alrighty, the next one is on the Justice Court one. Disbursement detail, you get this monthly. Alrighty, well, we're signing out, we'll jump in, is there any public comment? Come on up.
Thank you for having me. I'm Kristen Kukin, as you all know. I work with Senator Daines in his Missoula office. So just a couple quick legislative updates. Some key priorities for the senator as he finishes out the remainder of his last term is the Fix Our Forest Act, and that has passed committee in the Senate. So it's waiting for a full vote in the Senate. And what that does is there's some NEPA reforms, help streamline environmental review. Also engaging more local resources for wildfire management. You know that we've discussed that in the past, how important that is. Also, a key component of that legislation is Senator Daines' Cottonwood Fix. And so what that does is when you have a forest management plan, rather than discovering there's endangered species in the area, that they're looking to, you know, for NEPA purposes, those types of things, rather than going back to square one, because this endangered species was discovered, they can make the adjustments necessary for that endangered species, but then continue on rather than losing 3 or 4 years of forest management planning. So very important to him, and a critical component of the Fix Our Forest Act as well. Another key piece of legislation that looks like it will probably pass in the Senate is the America the Beautiful Act. And what that does is when the Great American Outdoor Act was passed about 5 years ago, there was funding for forest management, like deferred maintenance that they have in the Forest Service. And so this particular funding would reauthorize the Legacy Restoration Fund. And so allow for over $1 billion of annual funding for the next 8 years if that passes the Senate. And it sounds like that is very likely that they have verbal commitments from the senators to get that 60 votes to get that across the finish line. That's been something that the senators have been working very hard on. And I'm hoping to sign that into law July 4th. And then just another piece of legislation the senator worked on was the Main Street Tax Certainty Act that passed back with the One Big Beautiful Bill. But what that does is that there was a 20% tax deduction that was put in for small businesses way back in 2017 when they had the Jobs Act, of 2017, and that was set to expire at the end of 2025. Well, they made that permanent, and that was something that the senator advocated for very strongly because most businesses in Montana are small businesses. So that would have been a huge tax increase for them and very onerous on small businesses. So that was something that he was able to get across the finish line last year. So just wanted to share that with you. If there's anything we can do or to be of help or service, always feel free to reach out.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Any other public comment? Hello?
Good morning. Thank you. Good morning. This is Elena Gagliano for the record. First of all, I'm going to make a few comments and I will follow it up with a written letter. Between the two agendas, the safety and this one, there was no consistency. on either agenda with the items. It was very difficult to follow. It was, there is no Zoom, not Zoom, what do you call it? I'm trying to rush it because it seems like you guys are rushing it for some reason. Like he didn't open it up for public comment when it should have been. There was no introductions at all. Who was speaking, cross speaking, nothing. And then putting in Mako property and casualty, and that was in between. I'm sorry, I'm talking, it's my time. And
They each said who they were.
Yeah, she's giving legal advice, she needs to give public comment on why you guys should act and make decisions, and give a reasoning, not on the process. She's not a legal, she's not an attorney.
All right. Any other public comment? Being none, I guess we'll go ahead and move ahead into the weekly report on road and bridge. I think everything's going pretty good. Trying to get a few things caught up. They're blading down there. Hopefully they'll get that done, Blanche, today down there, and then we'll send that roller back. I think I talked to Steve yesterday and everything seems to be going on. They're going over some stuff that they've already touched, which that's just gonna be normal, and the parts and that, they're getting them ordered and brought in, and we got oil coming, got a pallet of depth down there. I took about all I got so far, so pretty, it's going along. You have anything?
Nope.
Any public comment on the road and bridge?
Have they get around it yet, you know?
I don't know, Blanche, I haven't, I don't think so, I think they were up Rumsey. I don't know, try to guess where they were. And then I did call a couple places, see if we can get some cold patch and boy, nobody, I can't find none. Gail, I talked to Gail Mayor Leaper, and she was calling around too, because the drivers, they need some bad, but what we have left, we got hold, so, that's the only thing I know that we're trying to find some. Any public comment? Alrighty, well, we can go right into the solid waste district weekly report. I got them right here, they're in our packet. Sounds like stuff's busy. Todd's trying to figure out where to get rid of the old oil, cause we don't wanna not start turning it away, cause you know where it'll happen, it'll be dumped over the banks. That's gonna be a problem trying to get rid of that old oil. We might have to try to put it in containers that can be moved, and then once they're full, take them to Drummond, which that way they're coming to Drummond to get some there. They just don't wanna go the extra mileage, cause it don't pay enough.
Oh, so they don't wanna come up
Where
here because it's not worth their,
is way
so
out.
we need to figure out getting it down to Drummond then. Is that what
If
you're
they,
saying?
we'll have to talk to John a little bit, and if we can find somewhere where we can just take containers down, like a 500-gallon container, it's not gonna be that off. And then, once he's full out here, and then maybe the road crew throw it on that
Yeah.
flatbed and haul it down, I guess we'll have to check in on that.
Yeah.
That's all I think of,
So what he's saying that he's almost full, right?
yeah.
Okay.
And if we have to stop taking it, till we figure out what to do, I hate doing that, but I don't know what else we can do. We're gonna have barrels and stuff sitting around, next thing you know, they're tipped over, and it's just a big mess. I mentioned to a few people that burn it in their shops for heat. A lot of it's just so too dirty and full, you know, it's not just oil, it gets antifreeze in it
Yeah.
and trying to strain it. And it's just, yeah. So I got a feeling it might come down that they just can't accept used oil anymore. It sucks, but what do you do? Can't get rid of it. We can't have it at the site because that's just a big hazard. It tips over, overruns there and then we're, so. Other than that, he's looking into some for the refrigerators and stuff, he's checking in and he's getting a quote. He's been talking to Mr. Kolowski, so. Once we talk to him, we'll find out what they kind of found out, what they're kind of talking back and forth to. I don't know, if I haven't talked to John about if he got them tires filled this weekend, cause he said he was gonna take it in Friday and be done yesterday. I haven't heard anything, so. Other than that, that's all I got on, solid waste.
So would it be worth it to maybe give John a call and tell him about
Yeah,
the problem we're having up here, if we could work something out?
yeah, I think we're gonna have to see if there's even a place that we can put it or figure out maybe at the county shop. It's just such a mess. That's what I'm afraid though. We get it, and, you know, we spill it or. I don't know, it's something that we're gonna have to try to really look in and see how to get rid of used oil. We'll just have to put it maybe next week on the agenda, but I'll try to get over to John or try to remember.
Yeah,
get
see if
it
we
to
can-
John. Go from there.
Yeah.
Any public comment on the solid waste? Being none, we'll go ahead and move on to Dam Tinder's report. It's at 6429.51.12. I got your message, thanks, I appreciate that. Paul Town sent me a picture and it was just barely coming over, but there was like 20 to 30 mile an hour winds too, you know, in the front, so, he was talking, they really looked at it yesterday. Paul Callen called me this morning, said they really looked at it, they moved it up a couple CFs. And they're just really watching, so it might be like at 41, 42, and then the inflows, and we'll see what's gonna happen, it's raining now. We might have to open up and put it in the creek. So, you know, open up, start having to go into the creek.
Explain, yeah, so you're right, now that you're at full, it's outflows match inflows, but yeah, they can only take 40 CFS to the plant right now, is that what
They're really watching the pin stock, so they're trying to keep up on it, and they gotta really watch so we don't get a bubble.
Yeah,
And then, yeah, I just think we're probably only gonna bring them in there to 40 to 42 maybe. And then the guy, it's gonna have to let some out if it gets up past.
use the gate valve.
Is that you, Paul, on
Yeah.
there? You got a comment, Paul? Sorry, I can.
This is Paul Talon with Flint Creek Hydro. Yeah, we're just monitoring things real closely. We're kind of maxed out at 40 CFS heading out due to our penstock pressures right now. And just doing our best.
So do you wanna just kinda leave it then, that we're figuring at that 40, it might be 41, should we, the motion, I think we've been at 40. So should we just leave it at 40 and we're just kind of fluctuating there, just, I don't know how you could really dictate it being.
I think the motion would be, 40 right now, but, if the lake starts rising, then you'd use the gate valves to match outflows with inflows.
So Brad's on there too.
Yeah, Brad, you got a comment, Brad? Sorry.
Mainly just I mean, that sounds good to me. Yeah, you're pretty much full. I mean, there's 400s left, but yeah, I think matching inflows right now sounds good, and seems like 40's doing that. So
Alright. Well,
So we don't have to get permission to match inflows with outflows?
No, but my understanding that 0.5 was full, Brad, but
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
0.5.
Most documents, like the DNRC reports use 0.56. I think the license says 0.56, but I could be wrong on that. But I mean, I'm not gonna be a stickler on that. We're pretty much full. So
it looks like we're gonna get some more moisture, so we'll probably be opening that gate, let a little down the creek. And on that note, we'll check that weir, we might have to get that, permit too, Brad, one of these days, maybe we could run up there and look at it, get her something to clean that out after, stuff slows down.
yeah, I'm totally good with that.
Okay. Well, I'll entertain a motion then.
To keep it at 40 and to fluctuate with inflow and outflow.
matching
Matching.
outflow with inflow as long as we're at full.
Yeah. So is it, I guess, official, I always thought it 0.502, so.
Yeah, if they're not, I'll look into that
Okay.
question too, because my understanding was
Well,
0.5.
because then-
Well, I can go grab the order if you want real quick. Yeah, grab.
Yeah, I think I thought it was 0.5, but I guess.
Let's find out for sure. You got a little bit of leeway then.
Yeah. I noticed Boulder Creek, it dropped about, 3 to 4 inches yesterday.
What
Boulder Creek right there.
dropped?
Yeah, dropped.
Yes, Scott, there's that DNRC gauge now on North Fork Flint Creek. It's down to like 35 CFS. It was over 80 last week, so it's dropped a bit too.
The big old rocks were rolling down that creek at nighttime. You can really hear them. But yeah, it really went down, because then I went down and looked at Flint Creek and it went down, because we was kind of worried about dumping a bunch of blood and people down there, but it looks pretty good, Brad.
Good. Not like that 2018 flow event on Boulder Creek, huh? That was a crazy one.
Yeah, just like that. The other night, it was pretty wild. You wouldn't think it could move that big stuff, but wow.
Yeah, if you're hearing boulders moving, that's pretty impressive.
I don't know how many, but be kind of curious to see what the water for poundings, the pressure, what it really shows, and that'd be kind of interesting to know how much power it really has.
So I have the October 21st, 2010 order on rehearing from FERC. Page 10 says 6429.5, so yeah, 0.5.
Yeah, I just pulled it up too. Yep, I see it. Yeah. So let's go with that.
Okay.
Well, I'll second the motion then, and we'll just go from there, and we'll be in close touch with everybody, Paul and Brad, and something comes up, just holler, okay?
Sounds
Yeah.
good.
And it sounds like you won't need to check with the agencies on this because you're matching inflows. So
Correct. But it might be nice just to reach out to them and let them know,
Yeah, I'll send an email.
just so we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you, everybody. Motion been carried, all in favor, sorry. Aye. Motion been carried and passed. Any public comment? These, I'm way behind. Yeah, that's one of
That's right.
those.
This next one's, Jess won't be here, so you can table it.
Oh, so we got, all righty. So the next one on the HDR engineer, if they will not be here, we'll have a few minutes here. Then we'll go into the 2026-7 resolution.
What is the, 0.512, did you say, or 0.51?
0.51.
0.51.
Yeah, I drove by yesterday
Do anything
and
on the spillway?
nothing's going over the spillway.
Right,
Yeah.
right there. Oh, I talked to a guy who's driving up Storm Lake last week, Storm Lake Road, and he said there's a lot of snow up that way, he got stopped.
Really?
Yeah,
When I talked to Paul there yesterday, he was saying that there was, you know, there was snow in there. I think that's maybe Sunday. One day.
yeah, Sunday morning it was.
Skip just a little bit here.
Amazed how much snow is still up in the upper range over there.
It's crazy, yeah, I just looking there, I'm working over there by Deerwood, and looking back on the backside, it's white.
Yeah,
Yeah,
all that snow in end of April, that was pretty, there was a lot of that that came into April.
yeah,
I think it's actually in that, I know that we built a little road now, but it's actually, it's going in the ground good for one.
Good.
Yeah, so it's still, it's scary ground.
Yeah, other
Yeah.
places are, yeah, struggling.
I know, yeah, we have so much, very much snow at Lolo, you know, and then even Snowball still has got some fresh snow just the other night, so.
Thing about up here, that it'll start hitting us is that, oh, the wind and then the evaporation.
Yeah.
That'll start, especially when it's hitting like that 70 degrees or higher.
Yeah. The dry wind, just about great.
We get a lot more wind now than we've ever had, I think. I never seen
I
it.
know, we've
Yeah.
got these wind events. that
Yeah, it's
Tore
crazy.
up trees and,
I mean, it's not just that little,
Yeah, it's consistent.
yeah.
yeah.
What else, you know, anything good?
Yeah,
Hmm.
just keep on keeping on.
Senator Daines is riding out in the
I
sunset.
know. Yeah,
Gonna miss it, gonna miss him.
yeah. It'd be great to report, so, yeah, just trying to get those, some of those key forest service bills through, yeah, they got that, what was it, the, Bitterroot Front down in, Valley County, that went through, which is 144,000 acres of the forest that they're gonna manage. Would have been great, you know, prior to the Sherritt Creek fire that they had down there in
Yeah.
24. It made a big difference. They're pretty, I talked to the forest supervisor for or for the Bitterroot National Forest, and they were pretty excited about that.
Who do you talk to out of the Missoula district now? We can't even get through on the.
I know,
phone.
I need to try and figure out who that is. I think it's changed over a few times.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out, cause, you know, they go up Rockford, it can be nice to work with them again
Yeah.
and that, but you can't even get through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're on my list of people to try to connect with,
If
so
you find out or can get.
Yeah.
you
I'll let you
Send
know.
it to Miranda, cause
Yeah,
I'll tell you,
absolutely.
we're gonna have them come in, but
Mhm.
over there, you go there and their doors are locked and.
Yeah, I know like the Superior District Ranger, 9 Mile, District Ranger, with Sealy. But yeah, I need to connect with them as a little one.
Who picks up, the oil for, is it Tri-State?
I don't know, couldn't get hold of John, I was thinking of, I'm not sure.
Scott might know, but I was talking to Scott about this yesterday, and I think they were working together to get one loop pickup
Oh, I didn't, yeah,
Pick up.
maybe I'll stay out of it,
at both locations.
maybe we could ask Scott on it.
And that was who?
Scott, came in and talked to me and the oil thing, they're trying to get old,
Go on,
pick up at Bolt.
we got a few minutes, you want me to grab him and he could kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just kind of need an update, they said you've been talking with some, trying to figure out how to get rid of this used oil.
I haven't personally, but Todd has in communication with different entities to think, but I don't know the specifics on all the use.
And what was John's gonna do?
I don't know that. But I think there is a complication with, them coming to Drummond and not coming to Beaver. I'm not sure the details on that exactly.
No, because we're trying to figure out that might have to try to haul it down to Drummond if they don't come to Phoenix, you know, maybe.
Well, I think that solution is viable, but it's kind of messy, you know, because of picking up oil and transporting it. My better solution was, I mean, maybe we won't get money from the company that picks it up, but we could pay them to pick it up. That would free up a lot of our own personnel time, and they can handle the oil professionally. That's something you could probably look into.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good idea. Reasonable. Yeah, we're trying to figure out what to do with it. We don't wanna dump it on the road.
Yeah, because there's a cost with everything, you
Yeah.
know. The fact that we get money back for oil or recycling, you know, that's just a benefit. But if we don't, you can forego that oil thing, because it's,
Well, it's a benefit to the county to take it, and, you know, if it's gonna cost us a little bit just to get rid of it, so what? Better than having it dumped all one.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, so we're gonna do a working meeting on the solid waste district policy. That could mean next week or when Paul gets back.
I think
Or you'll be
we'll
on
call
Zoom.
get back, let's see what he does this week and then
Okay.
we'll see, we got till Thursday around there,
Yeah.
let's see how he is. And what the policy on the solid waste on that, like what Gail was, Mayor Lieber was here asking and stuff.
Like for tenants or, dumping there, yeah, okay.
All right.
We could-
I do have a solid waste thing that I'm going forward with. You mentioned that any outstanding overages, some people have 6 months, 2 years of payments that have not been made. They're still dumping. We had a proposal of deactivating their card. They could still go to the dump and pay, you know, at the county rate, but they won't be able, they'll see the money coming out of their pocket every time they go to the dump. And I'm gonna send out a letter this month notifying the 31 people that are in violation, if you will, you know, not non-payment. So we can collect the money that is owed to the county.
Yeah, they're landowners too, could, put it on their taxes as an.
We tried that, you know, and it's more work for, you know, you guys up there and me and.
Yeah, but it was just people blowing you off, we could, yeah.
We don't want to blow it off.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
yeah,
There was a list closer to 80 people that weren't paying. I put a note in, the software out there, so they see it every time they roll up. Oh, you got payments due. And a lot of those people, about 50 people came in and paid, so they're good. But there's a few people that just ignore it.
Yeah, maybe we need the first letter being nice, the second one better step down a little harder or figure out what to do, because I mean, it's not.
I'm gonna send a letter too, if you're to that point of them just, yeah, they're not.
Yeah, so I sent it out this month, and then in mid-January, July, excuse me. just cut them off if they haven't made payments. And then once they can't use their card anymore, then it's come to realization that oh, I need to pay this. You know, because when you go to the dump and you have to pay $40 every time, that's coming out of your pocket. You want that card to work for you.
Sounds good. Well,
Yeah.
thank you, and we'll push ahead and move on.
Mind if I ask a question? What is your interpretation on the policy on where wagon wheel, where the landlord is, delinquent in taxes and the, tenants are trying to dump and do pay as you go, right?
That's a separate entity in itself,
Yeah.
What we've talked to them, and I think we made an agreement that pay at the county rate for the tenants to take their trash there, since there's no owner. The owner himself has to pay as he goes as well, because he's delinquent.
But are they getting a better rate that's in the policy, or is it the policy that's the rate that's in the policy?
Yeah, it's the same county rate, which is the
But they didn't have to buy a unit.
Yeah. So I guess we'll have to look at the policy on that. I mean, and I don't have an opinion, it's not my decision, but it should be looked at as far as cleaning up the policy.
Well, I think that's what the mayor Leeper was
Yeah.
in here, because, I'm not speaking for her.
Well, yeah, I think she made sense when it's only fair to keep it consistent. And one group shouldn't get special charges just because the owner isn't paying.
So
That,
having a working meeting
Yeah.
in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Good,
Yeah.
okay.
So the decision would be either 7 cents or 20 cents for the people that are being tenants at the.
well, we don't wanna really say until we have the meeting and we have.
Right, but
Well, 20 would be the
that's
the
the,
max.
max.
Yeah.
That's the going visitor rate and construction rate if you're doing business here but don't have property, that kind of thing.
What is the rate if you don't buy a unit of pay as you go? 20 if you don't buy a unit? I'm a local resident. I don't have a
You're a renter over here in.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I did
20 cents.
20 cents.
So what? What'd you say,
The renter, if I'm a renter and I'm just paying as you go, it's 20 cents.
20 cents?
Okay.
So that is what it is in a house?
Not 6, yeah.
Okay,
That's a visitor's rate, if you will, so.
Yeah,
But if they're not paying, they should really get it right.
yeah,
Right.
there is an argument that they're potentially including that, the landlord's including that in what they're charging for rent, but something to look at. I'm not sure
yeah,
if landlords are doing it.
So I've got, I think about 5 people that are renters, but the owner of the property they pay refuse, but they won't let them use their card. So what those people have done is come and talk to me, and they say, well, you can buy a unit, now I'll assign you a different number than the property number. Then you can use that card number to go in, and they pay me the $135, and they renew every year, so.
That's the only way we can do it.
I guess that,
Right, so that just gives them the option, so, like, they're not dumping it in the dumpsters behind the white front, or, any kind of violation, so they're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And by letting them assign a new card, that gives them that capability.
Okay, well, thanks, that give us a little, then we'll have that work meeting.
okay.
And possibly the people at the the wagon wheel, they can purchase a unit, and they all can use it. So, in
Well,
a
they
different,
should not.
in a different dump card or something.
I'd say just if you go with that idea, just to have by unit, that gives them
Yeah.
better.
But I can see where more
Yeah.
discussion should be.
Yeah.
Good.
Thanks,
Yes, you bet.
appreciate it.
Hey,
Come on up, Harold.
I don't have anything. I was gonna listen to that, or did you guys have it? I couldn't hear on Zoom. I could hear other people, but I couldn't hear you guys for some reason. Did you guys have the mental health thing?
Not yet.
It's next.
What?
she wanted to be here for the, initial conversation on the resolution. But she said she's having trouble hearing Commissioner.
I don't know if anybody else has.
Well, we'll go into it right now. The resolution 2026-7, a Granite County resolution requesting the Montana Association of Counties advocate for the improvement of Montana civil and voluntary mental health commitment process, initial discussion.
This is Lane, let me give background. So, as you probably know, the state hospital of Warm Springs is having a difficult time. I don't think it's space, it's getting employees. So there's a backlog, and when you do, and there's civil mental health commitments, there's a few weeks of get them in. That's one of the issues. They're working on a facility in eastern Montana, so that's one of the state is. So the other issue is that there's kind of it's a hard process because the county attorneys have to file a petition, and then you have to, sometimes you're having to wake up the judge in the middle of the night type deal. There used to be provisions where county attorneys could do letters to the state hospital, and there'd be a temporary stay, allowing for a temporary stay at the state hospital, but that's no longer. So now MACO is going to push for a law allowing mental health professionals to do a letter where there would potentially be a hold up to 72 hours before the petition filed. That's good in the sense that it's you've got a based on what a mental health professional saying. You're going to get the person some help right away, and sometimes 72 hours is all they need to get meds stabilized or whatever. And so we do a lot of mental health commitments where the folks are coming back within a few days after a hearing. So MACO's asking for a resolution that supports their proposed legislation here on the 72-hour hold.
So like today, they were just on for discussion, do we move ahead, say, like make a motion, we're gonna go ahead with it? Or
Yeah, if you want to have the resolution for first reading next week, if you're good with it, or if you want more time to discuss it, I'd take public comment.
Okay, so this isn't the first reading, then it'll be next week.
Just the initial, since you hadn't
Yeah.
seen it at all.
Yeah.
Carol?
So if they do that, where does the cost come from? Is it out of my budget? Do you know?
Maybe.
I think that's too preliminary, but my guess is, knowing the state of Montana, they're gonna put it onto the counties. But the law is until that the final, so you have an initial hearing, and then the final hearing after that, then the cost goes to the state. So I'm assuming that will remain the same. The issue is that well, the 72-hour hold could be also effective if the state hospital's filled. Then, like, if it works for like Providence or other private locations, that would be a very good idea as well, because right now the state hospital, there's no bed, a few weeks out before there's in the bed.
Do that over here.
Yeah, that takes a lot of employees, but it's something they could consider.
And isn't that something like 2,500 a day or something?
Yeah, but I can tell you, Providence has been closed here a couple times in the last year where patients have damaged and so forth. So it's
A lot of liability and stuff in it.
more to it than anything.
Throwing them in and sleeping.
Okay, question on, so we're looking at a 72-hour temporary hold period. Looking at this, is this gonna increase the cost of coming from the counties then? Is that what your question?
I don't think it, I think Carol just wanna know who pays for it. I don't think it'll increase cost. I actually think in the long run, it'll decrease cost, because I think a lot of times 72 hours is good enough to get people stabilized and so forth. What do you think? I don't know.
Maybe with them getting help right away instead of
Yeah.
waiting a few days for the petition and stuff, maybe there'll be more.
Well, I think we definitely need to put it on the agenda and then, you know, discuss it more, but entertain a motion, go ahead with it, and to put it on and then we can look it over.
Yeah, and the bigger issue is the bed space. It's, I mean, we can get a petition filed, but yeah, when you're having to wake up the judge and then have to get an order, that's not really efficient.
So does there have to be a motion, to put the resolution first reading?
Yeah, I think that's.
Okay, so that from the Montana Association of Counties. Resolution 2026-7. I make a motion that we put this on the agenda for the first reading. For counties to advocate for the improvement of Montana civil and voluntary mental health commitment process.
I second it, public comment?
Oh,
Go ahead.
one other thing that the resolution does is encourages Mako to look at other aspects of improving the system as well, because the system needs some major improvements.
Any other public comment? Being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion been carried by.
Thanks.
Thanks, Carol. Well, we're caught up, we'll probably go ahead and adjourn to 11:30. All right, we're back on, and for our 11:30 road crew and shop foreman interviews, we're gonna postpone them until next Tuesday, so all three commissioners are here, and we'll do it in a motion. I can entertain a motion, Glenn?
I would make a motion that the interviews with road crew for foreman be postponed until next week so that all three commissioners can be present.
I second that. Public comment? Being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried and passed. Any more business of commission?
I don't see any.
No, nobody's in that well and, I think we're pretty well caught up now, we got a little behind there, and then Jackie will get that stuff out, and I think the safety stuff moving right ahead, and we gotta keep going, cause we're making progress, and get our mod back down. And other than that, good job, congratulations,
Thank you.
we'll move ahead. We're adjourned, thank you.